Welcome back everyone. My name is Sagar and we are back here with another video. So this is the lecture number 18 of our Java and DSA course. So in our previous video we did some basic question on arrays and now I think you are comfortable with them. So today in this video we will be covering about multi-dimensional arrays. So what are them, how to declare them, how to iterate over them and how to use them. So all the basic stuffs. So without making any further ado, let's get started. So first I will quickly create a new Java class, that is lecture 18. And so from our previous video, what we learned, what are arrays? So arrays are a collection of similar objects. So if we have some, I will show you there. So if we have some integers 1 2 3, so instead of naming them differently like you are 1, you are 2, you are 3, what we will do, we will just create a collection like this, and this will be called as our array. And every time when we have to access some elements from there, so we will just use indexing and we will get the element. So this is the 0 index, this is first index, this is second index. So when we want this one, so we will just use the name of our array. So if this is arr, so we will just write here arr and then index is 0, so we will get the first element from our array, that is this one. And you can get the rest of the elements with the same way. So these are arrays are a collection of similar objects. And let me tell you that this is our 1D array, one dimensional array. Now that means we can only traverse from 0 to our n minus 1 index, and there is only one array which contains all the elements of some specific type. So this is our one dimensional array, and today in this video we have to cover about multi-dimensional arrays. So first I will remove this. And what are 2D arrays? So two dimensional array. So suppose there are some multiple arrays. So suppose there is this our first array, that is arr1, and this is second array, this is arr2, and there is this third array, and this is arr3, and so on. There are multiple arrays, and instead of naming them as this, so you are arr1, you are arr2, you are arr3, and up to arr how many arrays we have. So instead of naming them, what we will do, we will just create an array. So this, now this is array of arrays, and that also satisfy our condition that array is a collection of objects, collection of similar objects. So this is our outer array, that will be our, you can call it super array, and it also contain arrays. So this is our array which contain arrays as objects. So if we want to access the first element, so first element is array itself. So whenever we call, so suppose its name is, I will call it matrix. So I will tell you why we call it matrix. So suppose its name is matrix. So whenever we try to call matrix of this 0, so there is also same 0 based indexing. This is our 0 index, 1 index, and up to how many arrays we have. So this is our 0 index, and whenever we try to call this matrix and then this square brackets and then 0, so we will get an array. So we will get this array. So whenever we call this, we will get this array. So we will get this array, and we will just store it in some arr1, and we will have elements in it. So this is our one dimensional array. And when we have a collection of one dimensional arrays, so when there are multiple one dimensional arrays and we combine them and make a collection of them, so we will call it a two dimensional array. So I hope now this thing is more clear to you, and let me just start with it. So how are we creating our array? So you know that this means our array, and now we have to define the type. So it is an integer array, and I will call it arr, and then equal to new integer array. And here we have to define our size. So suppose size is 3. So this is our 1D array, and it is of integer type. So we can say that, let me clear it now. So we created an array of size 3. So we created an array of size 3. So there will be 3 elements which are default by 0 by default. And after that we can initialize them, change them, modify them, whatever you want. And now this thing is clear. But how can we create our 2D array? So we know that our 2D array, this is a collection of multiple arrays. and we also have to tell how many arrays it will contain and what are the size of its arrays. So first of all, we have to tell how many sub arrays will be inside this two-dimensional array, and after that we have to define the size of this 1D arrays. So suppose there are two elements in each of these arrays, and and there are total of there are total of three arrays in this matrix. So how can we create them? So in this way we are creating an integer array, and now we have to create a matrix, that means a 2D array. So this means a array. And what type of array? We have to create array of arrays. So this means we will create an array, and what kind of array? It is integer array type. So integer array, and that means this is an array of type integer array. So I think now you got this, how we can create this 2D array. This is an array of type integer array. So this is that simple, and I will call it a matrix, and after that new integer, and same as this. So now we have to define the size in it. So there are two boxes, and first we have to define how many arrays this matrix will contain. So how many arrays will be in this matrix, in this 2D array. So suppose there will be, I will write here 5. So there will be 5 arrays in this matrix, or I can just say this example. So there will be 3 arrays. So I will first clear this, and so that means there will be 3 arrays, 3 1D arrays in this matrix, and after that we have to define the size of 1D arrays. So suppose there are only 2 elements, 1 2 3 4 5 6 in these 1D arrays. So there will be only 2 elements in one array. So let me draw it. So it will look something like this. So we are creating a parent array or 2D array, or you can call it whatever you want, and there are two arrays. There are three arrays, three 1D arrays inside that, and this is third. So there are three 1D arrays. So this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, and you can now see there are three arrays in our matrix, and after that we have two elements in each of our array. So there are two elements. So suppose I will write here 0 0 for every array, and then 0, and then 0. And according to this 1D array, what is our index? So this is our 0 index, this is our first index, and let me erase this comma. So this is our 0 index, this is our first index, 0 index, first index. So I think now you got this, how we are creating them. So this is our 2D matrix, and it contains three arrays. So this is how we can initialize some matrix, or instead of making it like this, I will make it like a matrix. So what is a matrix? Matrix is something like this. So there we have two elements in three rows. So two elements in three rows. So this is our row number 0, row number 1, row number 2, and there are two elements 0 1, and 0 0 0 0 and 0 0. So this is a matrix, and you can also see it is a 2D array. How? So this is our one array that is on 0 index, and it have elements on 0 and 1 index. So this is our first array on 0 index, and after that there is another array which is on first index, and after that there is this third array which is on second index. So there is a collection of three arrays, and we call it as a matrix. So I think now you got this, and mostly you will just see the name matrix everywhere instead of just 2D array. So matrix name is very famous, and you should know about that this is a 2D array. So after that, now we know that it is a matrix, and now how can we access the elements in it? So suppose I want this array. So how can we get this array? So we can just call the same thing. So this is an array on 0th index. So I will create an array that is first array, first ARR, or let me just call it ARR1, ARR1, that is on 0th index of this matrix. So matrix is 0th index पे. So on 0th index of this matrix we have our first array. So this is our first array that is on 0th index, and same we have three three arrays on different indexes. So this is arr 2 and after that arr 3. So there are three 1D arrays in our matrix. And how can we get elements from them? So we have this array, this first array on our in our arr1. So we can get the elements and we can update it. So like we were doing in 1D array. So if we want to update the first element of our first array, so what I will do, first array is arr1 and I want to update the element of 0th index. So I will just update it to 5. And after that, second element that is on first index and it will be 10. So I updated both the elements from our arr1, that is from our first array. So this is our first 1D array from our matrix and we are updating both the elements. So it will be 5 and it will be 10. So here 5 and here it will be 10. And I also told you in the previous video that here we are just taking the reference from the original array, and if we change some elements from this arr1, the original value will be changed. So there this will be 5 and this will be 10. And after that I will change elements arr second array arr2. So 0th element will be 9 and the first element will be 8. So there will be 9 9 and 8. And after that I will update the third array element. So this is our third array and I will update both the elements. So here are 3. You can skip this part. So 7 and 5. So here it will be 7 and here it will be 5. So after this, how can we access the element directly from our matrix instead of just creating like this? So we are first getting the array and then getting the element. So this is a long method. You can see here first we are getting the first array and storing it in this arr1 and then updating the elements one by one. But how can we just modify or access the element directly from our matrix? So suppose if you want to see this element from our matrix, so first I will print. So what is this index? So first of all we want to directly use the matrix. So matrix and then these. And first in this first block I have to define what is the index of our array. So what is the index of our array? So this is our first array that is on 0th index. So I will write here 0 because array index is 0. And now in the second block, what is the index of element in that array? So first of all, this is our array on 0th index. So I will write here 0 that I want to access the 0th index array. And after that, I want to access the element that is on 0th index of this array. So I will write here 0 and it will just print me 5. So I will erase this and let us check it now. So you can see this 5 is here, and after that let me tell you, if I want to access the element this, or we can say this. So if I want to access this element, so first of all I have to tell what is the row number. So these are rows. So this is row 1, this is row 2, this is row 3, and these are called as columns. So this is our first column and this is our second column. So you also have to imagine it like this. These are rows and these are columns. So first of all, rows are the index of our arrays. So this is an array and what is its index? Its index is 2. So in our first block, I have to define the index of our array. So this is our second index array, and after that, what is the index of element? So index of element is here 1. So index is 1. So 1 index, and let me just check it again. So it will be 5 again. And it is 5. So suppose I want to update this element now. So instead of just doing it like these, so these are just time waste. And if I want to, and now all the elements are 0. So all the elements are 0 now, and you can just verify them. You can just get any element. So suppose there is this first row and then second column. So this is our first row, that is first index. this is the first index, and if we see, this is the second row, this is our first row, this is our second row. So on index 1 we have our second row. Zero base indexing like we have in our 1D array, so this is the same thing. So if we want to access the row that is on first index, so this, and after that element that is on 0th index. So 0th index, let me check it. So all the values are default 0, and you can see here. And suppose I want to update this. So if I want to update the element that is on first row, so first row, and column that is on 0th column, so 0th column, so that means we are updating the element that is on 0th index of our first index array. So these are just array, so this is a array on first index, and I am updating the element that is on 0th index. So suppose I update it to 9, so here it will be 9. So array index is 1 and element index is 0, so here it will be 9, and here it will be 9, and I am just checking it, that is on array on first index and the element that is on 0 index of our first index array. So don't get confused in these things, this is a very basic, and you can see here this is 9. So you can just clearly see we can just directly access the elements from our indexes. This is a very basic thing, we can access any elements by its index. So this is our 0 index, that means here it will be 0 index array, and after that here it is 0 index, that means here it will be the element that is on 0 index of our 0 index array. So this is a very basic thing, and let me tell you what are the indexes of all the elements. So this index, so there are total of 1 2 3 4 5 6. So there are a total of 6 elements in our 3 cross 2 matrix. So this is a 3 cross 2 matrix, that means there are 3 rows and 2 columns. You can see 0 1 2 there are 3 rows, and 0 1 there are only 2 columns. So this is a 3 cross 2 matrix, and you can also see here 3 cross 2 matrix, we are initializing a 3 cross 2 matrix, and there are 6 elements, 3 into 2 is 6. So what is the index of this element? If we want to access or modify it, its index will be 0 0, and index of this element will be row is 0 and column is 1, so 0 1. And after this is row 1 and column 0 1 0, and after that this is 1 1, row 1 and column 1. So after this is 2 0, second row, second index array and 0 index element, so 2 0. And after this third row that is on 2th index, and after that second element that is on 1 index, because there is 0 base indexing. And I think now you know about that from our previous video. If you don't know about that, go check out that one first. So this is about the indexes of all the elements, and let me also tell you about this array index out of bounds. So it also exists here. So suppose I want to get the 9th index, so I want to access the element that is on 9th index from our first index array. So let me check it, and you can see here array index out of bound exception, that is the same thing what we get in our 1D array. So index 9 out of bound for length 2. So you can see here this array is of length 2, and now that means the maximum index possible is 1. So there are only two indexes, 0 and 1, and the maximum possible is 1. But what we are saying, we want to get the element that is from 9th index, and that is not possible. So there is an exception, index 9 out of bound for length 2, and for length 2 the maximum index is 1. So that is on line 8. Okay, so that is a good thing. So the maximum index possible is 1, and that is here 1 1. So here it is, we are accessing this element 1 1, and there is all the values are default by 0 by default, and you can see here. So now you know how can we access or modify the values from our matrix, and now let me show you how we can traverse over matrix. So how can we traverse over it? So traversing means, first of all, we have to get all the values from our matrix. So first on 0 0 index, then on 0 1 index, then 1 0, then 1 1, then 2 0, then 2 1. So we can just write them separately like this. So first I want to get 0 0, then 0 1, then 0 2. Okay, not 0 2, 1 0, 1 1. So we have to write here a total of 6 lines to get all the 6 elements. But instead of doing this, we will just use loop. So like we traverse in our 1D array. So how can we traverse in our 1D array? First we have to get the index I should be less than what we were writing here. We were writing here our array length. So if we want to traverse in this array, we were writing it here arr dot length and I plus plus. So this is how we traverse in one array. But what about a matrix? So there is nothing different. Matrix is also array. Matrix is an array of array. So it is also 2D array and it will also have this field. So it will also have this length. So what I will write here, matrix dot length. So this is the same thing. Using this I represent our index. So this is our 0th index. So I is here this. So I will be first 0, then 1, then 2. So using this I, we can get the array from our matrix. So if I write it as this matrix I, that means we are accessing the array from our matrices. So first this array, then this array, then this array. So we are accessing all the three arrays from our matrix. But what about getting the elements? We already know that thing. We can get the elements like this. If we want to get the element on first index, you can use this. So we can get the elements like this. So there are two ways now how you can get the elements from this. So either you can write it as this or you can just create a different array. So arr, it will be equal to, and I have to comment this. So now you have a 1D array and you can just traverse over it. So using a for loop, you can use here a j, because we can't use here same variable name. J should be less than arr dot length. Now this is arr. This array have different length. So we have to use here arr dot length, and after that j plus plus. So using this, we can get all the elements from our 1D array. So this is firstly our 1D array, and after that I will be increased. So I will be here. So our array will be this. So after that we can traverse over it. So we can just print s out here arr j, and after that I will use here a space. And after this loop, I will just print a new line to differentiate all the arrays. So new line, and let me check it now. All the values are by default 0 and only on 0 row and first element. This element is only 23 and all the values are 0. So let me check it. And you can see it is looking like a matrix. So all the values are 0 and the element on 0th row and first index is 23. So this is a one way, and the other way is you don't need to create a new array. You can delete it and use here matrix on ith, and let me just write it complete, matrix ith row. So okay, this thing. So this is the second way you can access the elements from our matrix. And what is going on here? First of all, we were writing it here arr equal to our array. So this will be our arr, and after that this will be our arr, and after that this. So first of all, when our I is equal to 0, then this will be our arr, and we are traversing it as 1D array and getting all the elements. So instead of doing it like this, what we are doing, we are just using the same loop, and what we are doing, we are getting the ith row and jth element. So ith row means this is the ith row from our matrix, and we are getting the jth element. So first we will print this and then this, and after that I will be increased. So I will be now here, and we will again start printing from 0. So first we will print this, then this, then this, then this. So when I is 3, we will print both the elements here. And I hope now you got this, why we are doing it like this. So we are getting the ith array. So we are getting the ith array and we are printing the jth element. So j will be increased again and again, and I will be constant for all the j values. So first we will get the first array from our matrix and we will print all the elements from it. And after that this loop, after this loop I will be increased by 1. So after that we will get the second array and print all the elements from it. And after this loop again I will be increased. So after this we will get the third array and print all the elements. So we are using here matrix I dot length. So that means we are getting this matrix I. Matrix I means we are getting that array, because the matrix is because matrix is storing an array and we are getting the length of our array, which is from matrix ith index. So I think now you got this, how we can print a matrix. And let me just also modify some other values. So suppose, and let me check it now. So only three values will be changed and rest of all the values will be zero. Okay, where is this zero base indexing? And here. So let me check it again. So you can see here 223, only three values are changed and three are zero by default. So that is how you can traverse over a matrix using indexes. But remember, there was also another method to traverse over an array, and that was for each loop, and we can also use the same here. So how can we use a for each loop to traverse over a matrix? So what is a matrix? Matrix is a collection of arrays. So we will get array ARR from our matrix. So we will get an integer array from our matrix. I hope you are clear with this for each loop, and after that we will get integer from our array. So we can just print here, we will print here I and then space, and after this loop I will print a line. So I hope now you got this. What is this? If you are comfortable with for each loop, you will definitely get what is this. So this is also very easier way. So first of all, what is a matrix? Matrix is a collection of arrays. So using a for each loop, we are getting all the arrays from our matrix, because matrix is a collection of array. So that means this ARR will hold all the values from our matrix. So first of all, this ARR will be equal to this array, then this array, then this array. And what we are doing with this ARR? We are getting integers from this ARR. So what is this ARR? ARR is just a 1D array. That means it will hold integer values. So we will just print all the integers. So I think now you got this, and it will print the same thing. So this is the same output, and there is also no problem with these indexes. This for each loop is only helpful when you have to print all the values from our matrix or our array. And suppose there are some conditions that you only want to print first two arrays or first two elements, then you should work with these indexes. So you should be comfortable with indexing and these loops. And now after this, let me show you how we can get matrix from our input. So I will also comment this. So first of all, create a scanner object. So first of all, let us see how many values are here. So in our matrix, we have row numbers. So how many rows will be there? And then column numbers. How many columns will be there? So there are 3 rows and 2 columns. So first we want to get the rows. So I will write here, we want rows and we want columns. Or you can see here, we want this value and this value. M, and you can see it M and N. So we want two values, that is rows and columns. So 3 rows and 2 columns, and after that we want 6 elements. So how can we get 6 rows into columns? So in our first row there are 2 elements, in our second row there are again 2 elements, and same for our third row. So there are, after that, rows into columns, total number of elements. I will write here elements, or you can say items, or you can say integers. So there are total of rows into columns, integers. So how can we get this? You can just use this loop, this nested loop, to traverse over all the matrix and fill all the values from our input. So first of all, we want these two values, rows and columns. So I will use here a print statement. Enter rows. And after that, we want integer input, int rows equal to, and after that we want columns. So enter columns. And after this we will create a matrix. So I will call it a mat. You can also use it as this. So this is also a valid syntax. We learned in our previous video that this is also a valid syntax, but I will just use it here. So new, here we have rows, number of rows and columns. And after that we have to traverse over our matrix and we want to fill all the values. So we will just use the same loop. So first of all the values are by default 0, and after that first I will traverse in our rows. So you can also write it here row, and row should be less than this matrix dot length. So how many total rows are there? This number of rows. So this is our matrix length. You can see here there are a total of 3 arrays in our matrix. So what is the length of matrix? Matrix की length है 3. So first our row should be less than mat dot length, and after that row plus plus, this is our row number, and after that we want our column number. So how many columns are there? You can see here how many elements in one array. So how many elements? There are 2 elements in one array, so it will be equal to this column, or we can say, or we can just use this thing. So this is also a common thing that you should know. So column will start from 0 and column should be less than this mat row. So that means we have to get the length of the array which is on rowth index. So after that column plus plus. So first we will get 0th row. So 0th row will be this. We will get the index 0. It will be first row on 0th index. And after that what we want, we will fill row and column we want to fill from integer input, and after that we will just print the values. So I will use a print statement. So I will use here a for each loop, and let me check it now. So now we are here, we have to enter the number of rows. So suppose there are 3 rows and 3 columns, and now we want to fill 9 values. Okay, I also have to write a statement here as out enter how many values. I will write here rows into column number of values, calls values, and so 3 columns and 3 rows, and enter 9 values. So we want to enter 9 values. So 1 2 3 4 up to 9, and after that we are printing this matrix. So all the values will be stored according to their indexes, and after that we will print a matrix. Let me check it. So you can see this is a matrix. So that was a very cool thing. Matrix is a very useful thing, and you will get to see so many questions, and we will also do so many questions. And let us just quickly do a question here. Very simple question. So what we will do, we will I will first clear it. So we will create two matrices. So there will be suppose 4 elements, and here is the second matrix. It will also contain 4 elements, and what we will do, we will sum it. So how can we sum a matrix? So sum of two matrices means we have to sum all the elements. So this element, this, and this. So we will sum all the 4 elements, and we will create a different matrix that will contain our answer. That means the sum of these two matrices. So this is our first matrix, matrix A. So I will name it as A. So you can use here this refactor and rename. I will call it as A and enter. So all the values are changed. You can see here everywhere it is A now. And I will use the same thing for B. So A rows, A columns, A rows, A columns, So this will be our first matrix, and matrix A will be, and after this line, so this will be our B matrix. So this will be B, rows and columns. You have to check this thing that we are getting the values in B. We are filling the values in B, and we are getting the values from our B matrix. So matrix B is this. So we are getting values from B, and we are filling it in B, and yeah, everything is good. So how can we sum two matrices? So now we have A matrix and B matrix, and sum means we have to sum all the elements from it. So first we will get this element from both the matrices, and we will sum it and store it in some different matrix. So first I will create this answer matrix, 2D matrix, answer, that will be size of, that will contain same size. So row into column, row and column will be same for both the matrices. So you don't need to make it, take it differently. You can use here, where is that? So rows and column will be same for both the matrices and also for our answer matrix. So what we have to do, we will traverse in our both the matrices. So we will get the index, I should be less than row, because row is same for both A and B, and after that we will get J. So J is also same for both the column, is also same for both the matrices. So A and B, it will be less than columns. J should be less than columns, and J plus plus. So we will get ith row, and J will represent column. So first we will get our first element, and we will store it in our answer. So we will store it in our ij index, and we will get the element from our ij index. So A ijth element plus B ka element. So first we are getting the element from our ij indexes from both the matrices, and after adding we are storing it back to our answer, and after that we will just print the answer. So I will use here a statement, answer matrix, and I will use here a for each loop. So integer array from answer, I from our array. So I will quickly enter all the values. That is a large program, but it is very simple. So rows and columns are 3, and we have to enter now 9 values. So 9 values for our A array, so for our A matrix. So we are here, values for A, and after that we don't, matrix A is this, and after that we have B matrix, values for B, and after that matrix B is this, and after that we are adding them, here we are adding them. So I will use a comment here, A and B, and after that this is our answer matrix. So let us check it again. So there are 3 rows and 3 columns, and we have to enter 9 values for our A matrix. So suppose A matrix have, so there are 9 values, and A matrix is this, and after that we have to enter 9 values for B matrix. So B matrix will contain this 3 2 1. So our B matrix is this. So our A matrix is this 1 1 2 3 4 5 6, and our B matrix is this, and after adding all the values our answer matrix is this. So this is a very basic thing and a very cool program. And now it is time for your practice problem. So today in your task 18, you just have a very basic thing to do. So here you have to use a while loop to take input and traverse a matrix. So we just did that thing. You can see here. Yeah, here you can see we are taking a integer input for rows and columns, and then we are taking input for all the values for our matrix. And you just have to do the exact same thing with just a while loop. So this is a very basic thing. You just have to initialize all the variables from 0, and limit will be to this matrix key length, and all the things will be same. So you just have to use a for loop to print and take input for a matrix, and that is it. Share your code in the comment section and you will get a huge shout out in the upcoming video. So that is it for today everyone. If this video is helpful, go hit the like button and also subscribe to our channel. And thank you for watching.